Yo, what's going on? It's your boy Prince Rao, aka Don Corleone, aka the man with so many names, the man with so many hats. Um, I'm in the booth right now. I was just sitting here just thinking of something to write, and I couldn't come up with nothing, so I'm kind of in between writer's block and just resting my back from yesterday working out in the gym. I just wanted to come on here and just talk for a minute about stress and how that contributes to non-progress in a person's life, and how to deal with that, as far as mental health, as far as just any kind of stress, physical stress, mental stress, spiritual, emotional. You know, we as black men, Latino men, we have stress already to live up to expectations that people have for us in the community, in our families, in society as a whole. And it can be a challenge, but there's a lot of people that are experiencing breakthroughs in their life. They have challenges, but they still rise above it, and have made considerable achievements, or reached considerable achievements, experienced whatever achievements in these past couple of years during this pandemic, drought, whatever you want to call it. I myself, I've had a lot of challenges from the beginning, growing up in a city where it's not really expected for you to make it in music. And music is something that I always wanted to do from the very beginning. I wasn't very athletic. I played sports. I enjoyed playing sports, but I've been dealing with a handicap, a messed up arm from the beginning. So I never could be a quarterback or a point guard, which is something that I always wanted to do. I wasn't really good as a wrestler. So growing up, I ended up being a stoner. I started smoking weed, you know what I mean? And writing a lot of music, being really introverted, and just falling back from the crowd, spending a lot of time as a hermit in studios, until I started getting around people, and realizing that music is something that you can't just be successful at if you're good at it in the studio. You have to be on stage, you have to perform, you have to be out there shaking people's hands, you got to be making connections, you got to network, you got to have board meetings and campaigns, and brand yourself, and build your brand, and expand your business from LLC to a franchise if possible, and that all takes openness with oneself, and the opposite of being shy. So I had to get over a lot of those things, and I ended up doing that, and I feel like, as a stoner, that kind of helped me connect with people, in some way. But, I ended up getting back into athletics because I realized that when I wasn't smoking weed, I was smoking a lot of cigarettes, and this is something that I want a lot of y'all to know, that cigarettes is a big killer for young black men out there. So if y'all can do as best as you can to try and avoid cigarettes if possible, then you should try and do that, because it's taken a lot of people's lives. For the past 3 years, I've gone without smoking cigarettes, and I haven't smoked any weed for the past 3 years, and I feel like that's a big achievement for me. But for some people, it's just like, I don't know, something that maybe they think that I think I'm better than them, or, you know, I'm better than everybody else, or, like maybe people feel like I feel like weed is bad, but it's a personal choice that I just chose. And a lot of it, like, again, is because I started getting back into sports. I started boxing again and spending a lot of time in the gym, and realizing that if I do want to compete, even as an amateur boxer, I got to be able to pass a drug test. So that, and also looking for jobs, and I started, putting in applications to volunteer with big organizations, and you got to be able to pass a drug test. So it's something that I just really made a point to put behind me and leave behind me. And so far it's been 3 years no weed, 3 years no cigarettes. And not just that, I'm building up my lung capacity, and I'm running and jogging more. I was even thinking about going to the gym a little later. I was tired. Like I said, I was sitting in here. I was like, should I write? Should I, even last night, it started last night. I got home from the gym last night, and I was like, man, should I write? And I came up with a little something, but then I ended up erasing it, so I'm like a big perfectionist and stuff like that. But, and it carried over until today. Today, I woke up, I came into town, I went to a church, and I was like, I got some food, and I talked to them about, praying for me, because I always look for people to pray for me whenever I'm waiting to hear from a job, or from anything, any volunteer thing, anything that I do. I always ask my family or some church or some organization to pray for me. But I went there, I got some food, I came to the library, and I'm sitting here for a couple of hours, just like trying to write, working on a little bit of homework. You reach kind of like, when you reach milestones, and I've achieved a lot of milestones. After you get past those milestones, you kind of like, well, I need a break, and just chill and just do nothing. It's cool to just sit back and just reflect on, like, wow, you know what I mean? I came a long way. I've achieved a lot of certifications. Notoriety is one thing that in life I realized you're never really gonna get it from all the people that you expect or you think may just finally one day give you your kudos and say, hey man, wow man, that's pretty cool. I've never seen anybody go 3 years without smoking cigarettes or weed when they've been smoking most of their adult life. And not hearing that kind of messes with me a little bit, especially when you don't hear it from family, or you don't hear it from certain friends. But there's those motivational speakers like Dave Goggins, and like all the people, from Turn 'Em Up George to whoever you hear these days on podcasts. You gotta be your biggest fan. You gotta do it yourself. You gotta sometimes, and this is something that I'm dealing with, and it's just like, that's all. It's a shock, but you get used to it, but there is a considerable amount of people that do appreciate my achievements, and are, motivated and inspired by what I do. Going from being an artist to having interest in law enforcement again, and trying to be a lawyer and trying to do this and trying to do that, being a jack of all trades, even dabbling in general labor jobs when I'm not door dashing. And that's good that there's people that's inspired me by that. And not even that, to just show love. Like, I mean, this tie, like, I got a whole bunch of ties from Amazon, but you know, some of my clothes, food, I got help finding the apartment where I live at now and the apartment where I lived at before. I got help finding those apartments, and you know, I appreciate that. You know, even the help that I get with the bus pass here or there, I appreciate that. You know what I mean? It's just, you know, that's just the way life is, you know, like, we don't really pick, we don't have the ability or the blessing to pick who shows us love. It just happens. And sometimes we want certain people to show us love, but they're not the ones. And the ones that show us love, it's kind of like bland when we say thank you or whatever. So I try and really give it a really, like, from the bottom of my heart, let those people know thank you. You know, whether it's a church, you know, the Red Doors, the Jubilee Kitchens, the Shepherd's Hearts, you know, or whatever it is, the Second Avenue Commons, those people that help me get to where I'm at. You know, I try to give them the bottom, from the bottom of my heart, like, yo, thank you. You know what I mean? Because without some of those people, it's not like, you know, the hat, the shirt, the pants, the jacket, the shoes, the socks. It's not all of that. Like I shop for myself on Amazon. I shop at Goodwill. I shop at Salvation Army. But there is a considerable amount of assortments that I do get from some of these places. And you know, I buy food for myself. I pay my rent, I pay my bills, but there's certain little gift packages, little here and there, that are pieces to the puzzle of me reaching these achievements that I reached. Without y'all, I wouldn't be here. So I do want to say thank you. But I just wanted to come on here and I just wanted to talk about you know, the economic crisis, the health crisis, whether it's mental health, the pandemic, the corona, the COVID, or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, the wars that are going on, you know, the government shutdowns and all these things that are causing people to wait and not take part in activities that they took part in prior to the pandemic. You know, prior to the pandemic, I really want to have a podcast. Like, that's why I started, like, a lot of these Donnie Talks, these B-Boy Politic and all of that, is so that it could be like a open conversation, like, you know, whether it's Zoom, whether it's this podcast or whatever, because it's interesting that, you know, I was really like, I came up a rough life, but I became really active, like, through college, like the beginning of college, attending Penn State. I got over the hump. When I got over being shy, and I started getting really, really popular before I got in trouble up there for, you know, the hearsay about me, you know, saying that I was gonna shoot somebody. I wasn't gonna do that. That was just hearsay. I really hope to have that expunged one day so that doesn't linger on my record, because it affects some of my jobs and people don't get to see the real me. And, you know, they just think that I'm some person that's, some people, because some people do know that I used to work as an auxiliary police officer at Penn State, but other people don't really know that, because the only way, I keep saying it over and over again, the only way you're going to know that I worked for them is if I apply for a job for you and I put it on a resume and you actually go to human resources, because I authorize you to do that. Otherwise, jobs don't share information like, yes, this person worked here. you know, it's just not known, especially a job like that. But you know, and again, a lot of people don't know that, you know, recently I'm really into law, and I'm into the outdoors, and helping the environment. I'm into forensic science. Some people just think it's like, what the fuck? Like, how do you go from being a rapper to a forensic scientist? You know what I mean? But whatever. So long story short, it took a lot. Let's just say that it took a lot for me to really, you know, again, I was really into my music, but there was certain people, like, you know, you're gonna be really, really successful in music or business, whatever you're trying to start your own business, whether it's fashion designing, whether it is shooting people's videos, whatever you do. It doesn't matter, whatever you do, because growing up I wanted to do a bunch of different things. When you go to college and you get a degree that says, okay, you majored in this, so boom, we're gonna give you a job, or boom, we're gonna give you the record deal advance because we trust you, because you have shown that you're diligent enough to pay back a loan, or be able to facilitate whatever type of campaign you now have the money for. You know what I'm saying? So finally, it sunk in, like, yo, I should actually go to school. You know what I mean? Like, it all happened, like, before I started touring, and then I got tired of going to school, and I started touring and recording in places like Los Angeles and Hollywood at Lazy K Studio. I had an apartment in Compton, Willowbrook. I was recording in my own studio. Living in New York for a short while, I was working on Wall Street at this place called Global Skyline, providing cell phones for, you know, people that, you know, underprivileged, that get benefits, government benefits. But so, you know, from working on music to taking a break to going to school to being in a relationship, and thinking I was a father, and you know, finding out that the kid wasn't biologically mine, and you know, being depressed for a while, then deciding like, yeah, I'm gonna do it now, you know. And then the pandemic happened, and then it caused, you know, a lot of people to get off target, you know, because before then I was flying. I was taking trips on airplanes, riding on the Greyhound, riding on Amtrak. I was really, really, you know, making a lot of serious moves. I was on a lot of big radio stations, Hot 97, etc. So, you know, it's important for me to stay active, and I try to stay really active. But you know, part of what I did, and I was saying this to somebody that I was talking to the other day, I was like, wow, man, I'm really impressed with the way that I was able to change gears and channel my energy, from redirect my energy from investing so much of my emotions, so much of my time and efforts in the music, into school. Because now I have like 20 something certificates. I have certificates from UNICEF. I have certificates from American Red Cross. I have certificates from, you know, like the cops training portal. You know, like these are huge achievements, and it's just like, for me to have like 20 something certificates, for me to be 3 years no cigarettes, when by the time, from the time I woke up until now, I probably would have smoked half a pack of cigarettes already and done that much damage to my lungs. You know what I mean? To being a candidate potentially for amateur boxing, it's huge. But again, when you don't have the applause, or when you're not traveling, it's different. So when you make a life change, even if you end up being productive in some area that you weren't before, it points to a lot of maturity, and you see it in yourself. I'm like, wow, I'm not just a musician. I'm legitimately a academic. You know what I mean? It would feel so much better if you had people tell you that. But when you realize it yourself, when you really, really sit and meditate on it, you know, and it's hard because you're going to have days like today, like where you're really like tired and you're like, man, you know, shit, man, I wish I could just sit down and just write another hit. You got to sit down and think, man, I got so many hits. I don't need to write a hit. I need to just sit there and just reflect and just appreciate all that I've done up to this point to keep myself, keep my nose clean, to stay on the straight and narrow, keep myself out of trouble, to keep this roof over my head. I'm doing pretty good, you know. One of those days where you just sit back and just relax, you know, and just say, fuck it, you know what I mean? It really all comes down to hearing the voice of your creator or God or a higher power, because you're not going to hear it always from your families. You're not going to always hear it from your best friend. Like Nas said in one of his songs, love changes, a thug changes, and best friends become strangers. You know what I'm saying? It's like that. Your best friends become strangers. A hardened criminal can change. You know what I mean? I've seen it. I've seen hardened criminals become politicians. I've seen people that were, you know, pimps become preachers, and legitimate good ones too, and not like sleazy like you would think. You know, anything can happen. Like anybody could when they put their mind to it, you know, outdo themselves. And it's just it shocks a lot of people, and some people really doubt like their sincerity or my sincerity. But it's up to us as individuals to stay in that path, and that requires days like this. So, you know, just wanted to sit down and, you know, talk with y'all for a little bit. Don't let the pandemic or the drought or life's current season cause you to think that life is not going to get any better. Nobody appreciates you, or what was it all worth? You know, I seen a post the other day on Facebook, and by a celebrity, and it said they love their country, but right now they don't recognize it. And that's really sad to hear that from people. But you know, you just pray for people, and it's just like, and just hope that, you know, even though they may not recognize their country, or you know, they still love it, you know what I mean, that they stay motivated and inspired, because some of these people are really, really inspiring people and motivational people, and sometimes they even get down. It's really it's tough, man. It's one of those tough things. But yeah, you know, and it's really happening to a lot of people in my generation and the generation before me, you know, because a lot of us spent like our whole careers, whether we made it to being viral or being superstar status, even if we're just some hometown urban legend, or maybe just a regular face that people have some type of local insignia, you know, little notoriety, little staple in some neighborhoods. You know, when you spend a lot of your time just putting out positive energy, you know, you kind of like feel pooped after a while. But hey, man, that's the life that we chose, you know what I'm saying? Other than that, it's a good day, you know what I mean? This outfit, you know, is brought to you by all of those mentions that I mentioned, and myself, for picking these outfits out whenever I go to those thrift stores and stuff like that. And yeah, man, it's a good day. Hold on a second. It's Wednesday. No, it's Tuesday. It's Tuesday, February 17th. Keep me in your prayers. Keep following my music. I got a lot of music coming out. I got an album coming out called The Equinox pretty soon. I got artists that I'm working with. I'm still in law school. You know what I'm saying? I'm still like, I'm still in law school. I'm still doing music. I still work for DoorDash. I still have a roof over my head, but I could always use prayer, and study partners. If people are interested in partnering up, people are interested in collaborating. I have people that collaborations that I'm working on, but I'm always down to collaborate with more people. If you're interested in coming to the gym with me, let me know. But overall, all in all, life is good. It's just like, I was just tired because I worked out. Yesterday was a real, real, real good workout. A real, real good workout. And when you get a real, real, real good workout in, you feel drained the following day, or it wasn't a good workout. And just a moment to reflect on, this season. This is it's a real tough season, but it's starting to get, it's a lot warmer out these past couple of days. Summertime is on its way. Just staying in my lane, that's all. And celebrating life. I'm glad that I'm here. There's been people that in my life that has passed away recently, and it's sad to see them go. But it's good to appreciate that God spared me. So that's all. Thankful to God, grateful in my blessings, and motivated to do more each and every day. All right. So that's all, man. Keep following me online. Keep me in your prayers, and reach out if you want to connect, and build, and do something great. Other than that, y'all have a great afternoon. Don't let life get you down, and check in with your mental health every now and then, and be honest with yourself. Whenever you need to make a change, make a change. Other than that, keep doing what you're doing. And know that Donnie's in your corner, Prince Rao's in your corner, if nobody ain't. And you yourself are doing the right thing when you know you're doing the right thing. And fuck what anybody thinks. If they got any negative energy towards you, keep doing the right thing, because one day it's going to pay off. That's all, and that's it. Splash.